Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is August 17th, and right now we are looking at the infrared satellite imagery. Check out this trough across the Gulf of Alaska. We're continuing to bring that onshore flow. Some showers across the region, not amounting to much for western Washington, western Oregon. Better amounts across western BC. Some thunderstorms east of the mountains across the Rockies over the next couple days as well. But then as we go through the upcoming week, we're going to really build this ridge across the southwest portion of the USA. We're going to extend this ridge axis back up across the Pacific Northwest, and we're going to warm things up as we head towards next weekend. And then we're going to take a look at the extended forecast and look for the next fantasy trough to visit the area. So if you see this my channel and the green logo, you are in the right place. This is Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. I should be having ability to change this over the next few days. I'll let you know when that happens. Now, taking a look at the last 7 days, one more look at that atmospheric river and what it brought to the region. Models did a pretty good job showing that rain shadowing there to the lee of the northeast of the Olympic Mountains. And that does come down and clip portions of the central Puget Sound. As you can see, lesser amounts right in here, but still getting some decent amounts, up over an inch, 3/4 of an inch from many locations, SeaTac towards an inch. Bigger amounts, though, by the time you get back towards the Cascades. It starts to wring out that moisture yet again. The central and north Cascades, some areas up over 3-4 inches. And I heard some reports of some even higher amounts, up over 6-7 inches for some individual locations. Southwest BC also hit especially hard, widespread heavy rainfall, as well as the southwest and the south-facing slopes of the Olympic Mountains. Quileute checking in with over 3 inches of precipitation from that storm, and some of the Oregon coast also getting pretty hammered there as well. Portland was right on the cutoff. There's some lower amounts for Portland and down through the Willamette Valley, but at least you got some precipitation there. But you see, as you go north of Portland, you got better amounts and some of the southern Washington Cascades as well. And also the rain shadowing that really hampers eastern portions here with these atmospheric rivers. This is nothing out of the ordinary. Now, this is one more look here at the dew points. This is at my house, and you can see on the day we were just in the swamp, just massive amounts of moisture across the region, just absolutely saturated. And then the frontal system came through and really started to dry us out. And then we went through yesterday, some blustery conditions, dew point fluctuating, and here we are. Nothing like what we had a couple days ago where we were extremely moist. Now, this is day one. Let me back this up. And this is the thunderstorm outlook. This does come up in the Columbia Basin here, just south of Spokane today. And eastern Oregon is going to be included in that. And there's a potential for some wind and hail across portions of Montana that does creep into Idaho as well, across the Rocky Mountains, maybe including Yellowstone also. Day two, if I look at this, there's probably a thunderstorm chance here for eastern Washington as we go through tomorrow morning as well. So keep that in the back of your mind also, even for Spokane, northeast Washington. So looking at a wider view of things there's the Hawaiian Islands to the bottom left. There's the Pacific Northwest. There's our trough hanging out. It's going to be with us for the next few days, but watch the ridge start to get organized here across the Four Corners region. And then we get that troughing out of here, and look at the ridge axis start to extend up the west coast of North America all the way up towards Haida Gwaii, and we warm things up as we go through the end of the week and on in through the next week. And how long will that last? Well, we'll take a look at that here in a moment in the extended forecast. Now, this is total precipitation in inches, and you can see not much for western Washington. There's some showers moving across this morning. It showed, but those don't look like they amounted to much. So I think the European was overdoing that. And then we go through the next couple of days. Thunderstorms east of the mountains, very isolated for some locations, more across the Rocky Mountains of Idaho and Montana. But look at Vancouver Island, northern portion and portions of the coast of western British Columbia here over the next couple of days, picking up some really big amounts of precipitation, but not much for western Washington, western Oregon as we go through the 144-hour period. Now, artificial intelligence, we get to look at the extended forecast a little bit here. There is the trough hanging out. Onshore flow will be with us here as we go through probably Tuesday night. But by the time you go to Wednesday afternoon, the ridge starts to build across the region, and you can really see those heights start to rise here. And we build that ridge axis, and we're not done with summertime yet here across the region. We go through the weekend, and we take a look at the extended forecast and watch this. We got to go kind of far out here. We're now looking at 11 days out in the forecast, almost 12 days out. But we got to get this inside slider, this trough carving out over the Pacific Northwest. So it's just fantasy right now. You don't want to get too concerned about that just yet, but it kind of shows a little bit of a double-barreled trough coming down across the region as we go towards the end of the month. No promises on that. So looking at 850 millibars, this is a temperature anomaly. So of course you can see the onshore flow at 5,000 feet, keeping us fairly cool across the region. Let's see what happens here as the ridge starts to build though. There's the trough hanging with us as we go all the way on and through Monday night. We go on into Tuesday. and watch things start to change as we go through Wednesday night into Thursday morning. The ridge starts to build. Notice those temperatures at 5,000 feet starting to warm up. And if we scroll off into the extended forecast a bit more, you can see the ridge out here off the coastal area there. And then that next trough tries to swing down there. Good versus evil, hot versus cold. You can kind of see how things change as you go through the Finney forecast. But again, one more time, there's the ridge building there as we go through the end of the week and towards this weekend. So don't put your air conditioners away just yet. Now, 925 millibars gives you a unique look at things here because you can kind of see the diurnal cycle across the Intermountain West as we warm up during the daytime, cool down at nighttime, and back and forth as we go daily through there. And then watch what happens as we go through the weekend. Notice that warm air start to move up across western Washington all the way up into the interior of British Columbia, across Vancouver Island by the time we go towards Friday afternoon. And then, yeah, eventually through Saturday, a similar thing will be happening. But look at it really warms up there as you look down across portions of Southeast Oregon, Nevada, Utah, southern Idaho there. This is, again, at 2,500 feet off the surface. And a lot of this terrain out here is up, towards that elevation there. So that's why it shows it warming up so much, because you're looking at the surface warmed by the sun. Now, daily 2-meter maximum temperature. Look at Seattle, 77 for today. Tomorrow, something similar. There's Wednesday, but Thursday we start the gradual warm up. Look at the Willamette Valley starting to creep into the upper 80s here. Medford back to 98, some 90s showing up for Eastern Oregon, Washington, Boise checking in at 93. Look at that, maybe an 81-degree reading there across Southwest BC. We go to Friday and look at the warm up continue. Some upper 80s showing for Southwest BC, some upper 80s going for Olympia, 90s, mid 90s returning there for the Willamette Valley. You can see some mid 90s coming there for Eastern Washington also. And we go through Saturday, again, a very warm day here for Seattle, maybe some mid 80s coming up. I know the air conditioners will be cranking if that happens. And then we go through Sunday, Monday. Are we going to start to cool down after that? Who knows? We're looking a little bit too far off in the forecast to get into detail about that. But if we look at the GFS, look at for Seattle, you can see the gradual warm up, and then it shows, what is it, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, potentially upper 80s there for Seattle. The European shows a little bit less. So we've got some, excuse me, some model discrepancy on just how warm we're going to get as we go through the upcoming weekend. But the GFS showing some pretty warm conditions. If we look at the European, you're showing Seattle, low 80s there. It's still warm here for Seattle at this time of year, but not as hot as what the GFS was showing. So we'll be watching those differences over the next few days. And this is the 46-day outlook. You can see the European extended kind of showing our warmth here for this upcoming weekend, and then the gradual trend over the next 46 days. That's just typical for this time of year. This goes all the way out towards the end of September there. But yeah, we still can get warm at this time of year. Summer not necessarily over just yet. And if we look at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, we go way off where that fantasy troughing was, you can kind of see some of that precipitation showing up in the extended run. You don't want to get too excited about this just yet. This is still 10 days out in the forecast, but just something to look at and think about. 8 to 14 day, you can kind of see the above normal signal here across Pacific Northwest. And look at much of the west above normal there. They're starting to pick up on that trough, maybe through the extended. I don't know. We'll see how that goes over the next couple days. And yeah, we've maintained the 100,000 subscribers here. You can see the plaque behind me, behind my left shoulder there on the mantle over there. But yeah, that's your guys' award. I mean, we did it. We got to 100,000 subscribers. I did not actually think that was possible when I started this channel, but who knows? Let's see where we're headed off into the future. So if you would, click subscribe. Let's see if we can get to 200, 300,000 here over the next few years as well. And yeah, it's been a fun journey, and I can't wait to see what comes this fall and winter and do some live streams and whatnot. And I'm going to try to make the live streams a little bit more consistent here. And again, I can't live stream from this channel because I don't have total control of signing back into the account just yet. I do have control of everything, but Google has this weird 7-day waiting period that they make you go through, and sometimes it can be even longer than 7 days. So this should all be worked out here over the next week or so. But yeah, anyway, what else? Click like and subscribe. We'll do this all again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.